Welcome to the Thunder Nerds. I'm Frederick Philip Von Weiss, and thank you again for consuming the Thunder Nerds. If you notice, it's only me today. Janelle and Brian have the day off. We are a conversation with the people behind the technology that love what they do and do tech good. And we are with someone that exactly does that. We're with developer, designer, and doer, Brandy Morgan. Welcome to the show, Brandy.
Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and the last time we spoke, we were at the Dev Fest in Florida in Orlando.
Yes. Yep. That was back October, November?
Yeah, I think that was November 11th, something like that. Yeah, a long
Yeah.
while ago. What you been up to since then?
A lot of a lot of things. Very busy, very busy. Switched jobs, I think, since the last time we spoke. Working with my husband now on his startup. And
Oh,
yeah, and I'm actually doing more sales
oh,
instead of
that's
developing.
that's interesting. Oh, so how do you find
Yeah.
it? Do you miss the typing?
There are times, yeah. I mean, I still do dev stuff on the side for like side projects. But for the most part, it's just been straight selling, cold calling, cold emailing, trying to help us come up with different ways to grow the business, whether that's like marketing strategies or social, things like that. So I definitely enjoy it. I came from marketing, so it's fun.
Yeah, that's right. You started off in marketing. I remember you were telling us that back in the Dev Fest that we were talking about, and then you really wanted to get more of understanding of how that stuff works, and you wanted to create websites yourself.
Correct. Yep. I worked for a company called MentorMate back in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I worked there for about 2 years, and I helped them with this very large mobile conference. So did everything you could think of from running a conference, like all the logistics. And the only thing that I couldn't do was the mobile app. And so that drove me into development, and I sort of just jumped all in.
Oh, that's so cool. So, do you mind telling us a little bit about the idea of why you and your husband created this business and what you're exactly doing?
Yes, of course. So we have, which is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And DocSpace is an application primarily for the automotive industry, and it helps specifically like automate accounts payable processes. And so I'm right now selling that into auto groups. And then we also have another part of the business where we take on agency work, where we get to work with really cool companies building awesome products and features. So we have like in the agency side and then also the product side.
That's really cool. I think you were talking a little bit about that in your recent video, right?
Yes. Yep. I started vlogging for us and sort of just so we can, keep track of what we're doing and, basically to have like this record of how far we've come. Because I think, for a lot of us, we forget where we started and we forget like all like these big milestones that happen and we forget to like be like, wow, we really did something cool, So that's like one of the reasons why I like documenting our journey and, sharing it with people so they can also look at it and be like, oh, well, they're doing that, so I can do that, or I've been there, and things like that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you mind going into that story too that you talked about with the gentleman with the donuts and how he knew your husband from a meetup and the power of meetups. I think there's such a good lesson in that.
Refresh me on that story.
Oh, so there was a guy that met your husband.
Oh, yes. We just had dinner with him, actually.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So one of our friends, well, he's a friend now, but he, just would, go to meetups and meet people. I actually met my husband at a meetup. So there's also a reason to go to meetups. But this story more specifically is this guy was wanting to get more experience as a developer. And he really took it upon himself to ask people, like meet people. And he found this company. It was a donut shop right down the road, needed a new website. And so they were like, he offered it and they said, yep, we'll pay you to do it. And then we'll also give you a bunch of free donuts. So he pretty much got to, sharpen his tools for web development and, build them an awesome website and get paid for it. And then also free donuts. So
Yeah, I love the idea of that. You were kind of communicating that there's opportunities everywhere if you
Everywhere.
are willing to seek them out. And a lot of people want to just have opportunities handed to them, but sometimes that's not the case. You have to have a little bit of oomph inside you if you want to do these kinds of things. If you want to get in the tech community, well, go to tech meetups, join the community, get involved.
Yeah.
Even you talk a lot about, and I would say possibly if it's fair enough to say you evangelize social media a lot as well.
Oh, 100%. I just did my latest video I just released today is all about how I got a job interview at Microsoft because of Twitter. And social media for me has been a really important tool that I think a lot of people should utilize, and I hope they do. And I've utilized it in ways of getting job opportunities, creating courses for companies, and just by meeting friends. And I think you can really use it to meet people at the companies you want to work at or people you want to work with.
Yeah, great point. And I like too how you told a story that you were just making some tweets, you were getting into the community, you were
Mhm.
having conversations with them. I think a lot of people think of social media as I retweet, and
Yes.
that's it, right? But
Yep.
how about providing value back to the community?
Yep. That's the whole other side of it, which is content creation.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, if that is a tweet to you, that's content creation. If that's a blog post, if that's a vlog, if that's a video, if that's an Instagram post, whatever it is, like providing value for other people is valuable for yourself because like it gives other people like value and stuff they can take away, but also you're like bringing value to your brand, which is yourself. And nowadays that's so important because social media isn't going away. And I always joke that social media is a new resume. I mean, you can literally just go on people's social and see the type of person they are and the type of stuff they're producing and check out if you want to hire them.
Well, yeah, I think that's a completely honest statement because a lot of times it's not so much about somebody's skills, right?
Hmm.
There's a lot of people out there that might have the skills. There's a lot of people out there that might know React or are a great UX developer. But at the end of the day, do you want to work with them? And
Yeah.
also, are they a good person for a culture fit within your company? And will they represent your company well?
Yeah, because I think a lot of times, I hope I don't like ruffle anybody's feathers, but like developers can get really focused. And I know I was like this, very focused on hard skills, which is very important when you're starting off and becoming, a good developer. And I think, specializing in something. But there's the other aspect of soft skills. And soft skills play a massive role in if you're going to be a good fit, like you said, at a company, because you work with people. You have to get along with them. You have to communicate with them. You have to be able to share your thoughts in a respectful way, and not, just the way you carry yourself at a company and with people.
Yeah, and actually, are you somebody that takes criticism well, internalizes it, and uses it, and
Yeah.
will make a positive from it? Because there's a lot of people that you might, I don't know, provide context of, hey, maybe you want to try this way or that this way, and how do they take that? Are they going to be somebody that just kind of and don't
My way's the
interact?
highway. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen so many of those people that think I'm the smartest person in the room, but just take some criticism and be constructive with it. And I'm also reciprocal. Tell if there's something that I'm not doing right, tell me, or you have some advice. Great, bring it on. I think there's a lot of people that don't think about those aspects, right?
Yeah, and it can be hard, especially if you're, used to just working by yourself or working alone, building things. Like the team aspect doesn't get focused on as much, and that the communication is probably one of the most important things because you communicate with your body language. So, like me looking at you, eye contact, that sort of thing. The way like I'm sitting and things like that. Like that's all body language, and that can be interpreted many different ways. And there's also, you know, verbal. So the way I talk to you or the way you talk to me and things like that. And then there's also, written, emails, Slack, anything like that. Like all that sort of stuff is communication. And every single one of those has to be thought about, especially like we all have moments where we're like, ooh, probably shouldn't have done that, or shouldn't have typed that, or shouldn't have rolled my eyes, or stuff like that. But as long as you're willing to like reflect back on yourself and make those changes for the future, like you'll be good.
Yeah, accept it, internalize, and then
Like you
make
said.
something positive of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Where do you come up with your inspiration for all these things? Because, like I said, you evangelize social media. You have a lot of inspirational quotes I see all the time on Twitter. You and your husband put out these great inspirational videos. You guys always are trying to help out the community. Where do you find that inspiration?
So there both two areas.
Sure.
Josh, my husband, is probably one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. I don't know if you got to meet him at the conference, but
No, I didn't get a chance to meet him, but I mean, he comes across that way in the video.
he
So,
literally always has a smile on his face. And he has a motto. And since we've been married, I like slowly have adapted it.
what's the motto?
He said, "I'm here to help you win." And that's for
I love
everybody.
that.
And he always says it. And I'm like, why? Like, I don't get it. At first I didn't get it. And then I thought about it and I was like, it's so true. Like if the stuff I do can help you in any way, then we're both winning. And I just like I love that mindset that he has brought into my life, because I never thought about it in that way before.
I love that. That's so
Mhm.
cool. Let me ask you, that makes me think, where were you when you first knew you made an impact on somebody's life in this kind of way?
Um,
And what was that, if you mind?
oh man. It would probably be, I don't know if I can remember like the first time, but I think somebody messaged me on Instagram and was like, you inspire me, you motivate me, like I see you doing things, and like that means that I can do them too. And that's exactly like what I want to be like, if you could do it, like if I can do it, you can do it, type mentality. Like using other people as a community instead of competition is going to help all of us be more successful in life.
Yeah, very well said. And so where are you at now, and what exactly are you doing?
It's a good question.
I
So
mean, I know you said you're doing the thing with your husband, and that's the company, but are you doing something else, or are you guys doing that full time?
well, that is my full-time thing. So
Oh,
I'm
okay, gotcha.
I'm doing that full-time selling. I'm in the works of doing something else, but that's like hush hush at the moment.
Oh, secret. Okay.
But yeah, there is something on the side that just recently has come to fruition. That's how you say that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, my main focus is helping my husband win and the company, just because it's a great group of people, and they put a lot of time and work into this application, and it's a great application, and I really just want to help them win right now.
I love that. So, do you mind telling us more about exactly what, like, things more about the details of the company? Like, for example, what's the name of the company?
Yeah, so it's kind of like two names of the company. We have one, it's called DocSpace,
Uh-huh.
and DocSpace is the actual application, and that's the one where we help auto groups with AP automation, such as like approving invoices, auto groups. And this isn't specific to auto groups, but that's just like the niche that we've chosen to go after, because
Hmm.
Josh and his family have expertise in the auto industry.
I was going to ask you why that vertical, but okay.
Yep. So they come from the auto world, and so this was actually a problem that they solved for an auto group. And so then we decided to see if that need was like if that was happening in other auto groups, and it was. And so we've continued to pursue that.
Oh,
Mhm.
I love that. That's great. So,
Yeah.
how are you guys doing with that? I mean, and how long have you been doing that?
The company has been around for a year, in May, I believe it was. And so far, so good. It's still in the very early phases. So like we're still working with a lot of other companies, because that's the other part of the company, is we take on, or like we work with other companies as developers, you know, sort of
Hmm.
like in-house developers for them, building whatever they need us to build, which is really fun, because then we get to work on all sorts of new projects and work with other people. And then the other part is the product. So they're both doing really well. The product is very much in its infancy. It's still trying to get people into it and using it, and really solving that need for people, taking it as like a nice to have to a must have product.
Ah, nice. I like that.
Yeah.
And I imagine you guys are going to do well because, as you said before, when we talked to you at DevFest, you're a very competitive person. So,
Yeah. Almost to a fault. Almost to a
yeah.
fault.
Is
But
your
yeah,
husband that way too?
no, not at all.
Oh, okay. So you guys have that yin and yang. You balance each other out that way.
We do. He'll let me win if it'll make me happy.
Oh, good. That's a good guy.
Yeah. For me, I'm like, oh, I have to win. Yeah.
So why are you doing more of the sales thing, and I guess he's doing more of the development thing?
That's just where I'm needed, really.
Yeah.
So when I left my other job, I was doing React Native full time, like every day, all night React Native. And
Yeah.
so after doing that, I actually kind of needed a little bit of a break from development. And so I was going to go back into marketing, and then we decided, well, actually, we probably need just sales. And so that's just where I've landed. And at first there was like pushback, but after I've been doing it for a couple months now, I'm like, it's like nothing.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've become numb to it.
I could still see you too. The way you talked about that video where you were going to Microsoft and applying for an evangelist kind of job. I could see you in that kind of role. Maybe it's not there because you were talking about they were looking for somebody that knew a little bit more of the
Yeah.
other languages, but certainly something like that. And you recently did. What was that thing you did with John Papa the other day?
That was what was it? 5 things about React State. So it was,
Yeah.
yeah. So I have a really good friend, Steven, who I used to work with at MentorMate. So it's like full circle. So I met him at MentorMate, and he actually got me into programming.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay.
And he's now at Google as a developer advocate for the Angular team.
Ooh.
He's an amazing Stephen Fluin. You can look up his talks. He's a brilliant man, and so is his wife. His wife is another like powerhouse. And so they came and they introduced me to John Papa. And I was like, oh, I've always watched his videos. Like, he's like the JavaScript guru in my head. And I think for most people that have watched any of his videos. And so that kind of just started like, I don't know, like a friendship, I guess. And so he brought me in, and I got to hang out with the developer advocates there one day. And then I was like, well, if you ever need help with anything, let me know. I'm more than happy to help. And so that's kind of how it happened.
That's cool. And didn't you meet him at DevFest? He was at DevFest, right?
He was there, but I didn't talk to him.
Oh, how funny.
Yep. We like missed each other, but I saw him, but I think he was like going into his talk, and I don't know what I was doing. Yeah.
It was a busy day.
It was a fun day. It was a really fun conference.
Oh my gosh. Do you mind going into a little bit about what you spoke about?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I got to talk at Google. It was like just like a Google developer, like Florida, like Orlando chapter conference, right?
Yeah.
So I got to talk about, I think my talk was called Staging to Production, or Staging versus Production. And it was about what you build, in your staging environment. So that's like, on the side, and then taking that and then bringing it into your full time. So like your production, like how can you deploy it to production without bugs, without errors and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So what were some of the actionable takeaways you wanted people to get from that?
One of them that I really like is armor. So as you go through life, and especially like in career, business, you're going to be hit with a lot of negativity, a lot of no's, people telling you you can't do it, or that's a dumb idea, any sort of negativity. And instead of letting that like defeat you or deflate you, you need to use it as armor, and just like you're just building up this armor. So like it just doesn't even phase you anymore. And that was probably my favorite thing I told people, because I see people like it can like mess with people's confidence. And especially with social media, because people will just troll you, or they'll just say mean things to you. And
They'll just see if they could get a reaction.
All the time. And at the end of the day, it's like, no, you just delete it and block them.
Exactly.
And you use that as armor and be like, okay, they're paying attention to me, or clearly my voice is, getting louder. Find the positive in it some way.
Yeah, exactly. There's always a lesson. Who was it? It was Alexander Graham Bell said, "You only fail if you stop trying."
Yes, I love that. It's so true. It is why like, people can see like these overnight successes, whether that's, like YouTubers or the next Snapchat or whatever it is. It's like all those people, like it took intentional effort every single day. Like, there's 365 days in a year and you need to, but that's made up of days, individual days. And so you have to work every single one of those days to like make progress, to be like, oh, wow, I did something. Yeah.
Do you feel like you work every single day like that?
Yes and no. I think we all have our moments where we're like, I always even feel like I was just telling Josh today that I need to be working harder. I need to be working harder. And at the end of the day, it's like you only have so much to give, and you could only, you know, do so much in the hours that you have. And
Oh my
it's
God, yeah.
and I think, it's about also not being so hard on ourselves because I'm newly married. And so my marriage is actually a priority. My marriage trumps everything. Like Josh comes first, then everything else comes after
Well,
that.
that's why you work, right? For your family.
Exactly. And that's why I'm working for like this company doing sales. Like I didn't want to do sales. Like I don't think a lot of people want to do sales, but at the end of the day, like that's actually probably one of the greatest gifts I can give to Josh is more business, you know? So it's
Well,
all
yeah,
perspective.
absolutely. You guys will walk down that path, and then eventually you're going to have somebody else that's going to be doing the sales, and you're going to be jumping back in the react seat, right?
Yep. Or, doing something like
Yeah.
helping hopefully like strategize or come up with other sort of growth techniques, but also like around development too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe you could just be the face of the company and just go around and tell everybody how awesome you guys are.
That would be fun.
I'd love to see you on Shark Tank talking to them, be like, "Hey, our company, blah blah blah."
I love Shark Tank. I think that
Who
would be
doesn't
like,
love Shark Tank? It's
I know.
wonderful.
It's a great show. I'm so happy they came out with it.
Did you see that Keenan and what's those two guys? What was that movie? It was called Neo with the cat.
No, I didn't.
Oh my God, it was so great. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. It's just a small spoiler, but like they pretend to like join this gang, and one of his names, he was like trying to be tough, and his name was I'm Shark Tank. And you're like, damn, that's hard.
That is.
It was really funny. So are you still doing any kind of I know you said you have a side project where you're probably developing, but are you still doing any talks? Are you traveling around?
Yeah, I'll be speaking at MongoDB World in New York City.
New York City.
New York City, June. I should know this. June 26th.
Okay, cool. We'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Yeah, for sure. So that's and that's really pure because of social media too. So another plug for using social.
Oh, walk us down this experience of how you came upon this opportunity.
I have stories for days I could tell you, but so this one in particular is so last year MongoDB offered women in tech like scholarships to go to the conference. So they would, pay for your ticket to come. And so I told all my friends to nominate me to go. And so then I in turn nominated this other girl that I wanted to go with me. So then we both got picked
Nice.
because I don't really know how many women were like, I want to go to MongoDB World. Like nothing against that, but I just, there wasn't a lot of women there. And so we went and I had her take this really cool photo of me. Like like they had like these stairs and it said like MongoDB World. And so she took this really cool photo and I posted it all over my social media. Like,
Oh, is that the photo? Sorry to interject. Is that the photo of you on the stairs that you're talking about in the video?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a really cool photo.
Yeah.
So then I posted it all over social media, and that actually sparked a conversation with their social media guy there. And so then I ended up I surprised Josh to a trip to New York, and I randomly messaged him. I was like, "Hey, we're in New York." He was like, "Oh, you should come by the office." I was like, "Okay." So then I came by their office and I shot some video while I was there, and then that sparked like me helping them like with this project, and then to me speaking at like there, it's like called, it's like a it's not the actual world. It's like a community day that they're having
Oh,
alongside it.
okay.
So it'll
Yeah.
be speaking not like technical, but speaking about the importance of kind of being on social and also like teaching people.
I love that.
So,
Yeah, giving back
yep.
and what that really means. I know also did a recent video. You were talking about being a mentor at this what is it? girlsdevelopit.com.
Yeah, girls develop it. Yep.
Do you mind going into that a little bit? What the organization is and what you do with them?
Well, this was just kind of a one-off thing.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But they're just an organization for women that are wanting to get into programming, and also it's not just for women because there were guys there, and guys can come to the meetups. But it is for girls or women that are trying to get into programming or even just any sort of aspect of tech. But it's mostly around programming. They can show you their projects. You can help them, kind of walk them through what it looks like to actually be a developer, how to get a job as a developer, what it means, all that sort of stuff. So I went there and sort of kind of told them my story and then answered questions about like deployments, frameworks, all sorts of like random like questions that they had.
And this is what was the audience demographic like? What age?
I want to say it was probably 18 to 50.
Oh wow, that's great. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What do you see in people around that age with women like around the 18 to say I don't know early 20s? Do you see them being very inspired to get into tech? Did it look promising? Did you what kind of questions did they ask you?
Yeah, I think the younger people there definitely like they want to do, and I don't even think that they realize all the opportunity out there for it. And so they were super excited and like wanting to like get into it and like work at a cool company. And then I think the other side of it is a lot of these girls want to work remote or start their own company. And so they're realizing that they need to understand programming as well.
Yeah, that's it's
Mhm.
kind of an important thing. It's interesting too. If you look at women in tech, maybe I don't know, 10 years ago, it was very different. So it's wonderful how now it's become more of a you see more diversity.
Oh, it's amazing, especially on Instagram. Instagram has like been such a great
Oh,
community for myself and like other people that are in programming, and it's so much fun to see it because it's like the tech community is really special. Like I don't know if people realize how special it is because maybe they haven't been to other, industries, but like the tech community is like a family, and it's like people want each other to win. I feel like we that's the vibe that I get from most of the people that I meet. And I'm in a different industry for part of my day, and it's just not like that. It's so different. Yeah.
yeah, you're absolutely right because every kind of tech person I've ever met, it's all about kind of like your husband's motto, the way Josh says, where I'm here to what is it? I'm here for you to help you win, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So it's everybody's very helpful. There's no kind of negativity. I mean, there's haters gonna hate, right? But
Yeah.
but most of the time, you get people that are very happy to like if you put something out on Twitter and say, hey, what do you think of this? 98% of the time, you're going to get some positive or for lack of a better term, constructive feedback,
Yep.
and it's going to be to where people are very supportive. Like, oh, hey, you know what? I just tried that in CodePen. Let me show you what I thought about.
Yep. I love that about the tech community. I think it's amazing. And that's why I always want to stay in it because I love the relationships I've built with awesome people like yourself and other people just around the country and world for that. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how many other communities where, and maybe it's my lack of I haven't been in the automotive department or or whatever, but like I don't know, and many other communities that I could think of or assume have that kind of connection where I have friends all over the world and that I chat with all the time about certain kind of issues. I have a buddy in Istanbul, I have a buddy in California, I have a buddy in Spain, and we just talk on a day to day about, oh, what do you think about how would you solve this UX problem?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's amazing.
It's yeah, I talk like I met a girl on Instagram and we now talk almost every single day on the phone. And we like brainstorm like business. And like I love that cuz that's how my mind works and it's hard to find people like that that want to talk business all the time. And so it's like I've never met her in real life, but we're great friends.
That's so cool. So are you doing some mentoring? Is that what that relationship is?
No, not at all. It's just pure friendship.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's nice. And I'm like, it's hard to meet people that you like click with right away and that you don't feel that they're taking anything from you and like,
It's a mutual relationship. There's I
yeah,
provide value, you provide value.
exactly. Yep.
Not a social vampire.
Yep. And we met on Instagram. So,
That's so funny.
mhm.
Do you mind talking a little bit about the power of Instagram? Because I see a lot of people lacking in that area, and they don't think about it as one of the major kind of points to where you can market yourself. I see a lot of people doing LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, but I think people undervalue the gravity that Instagram has.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's just a picture.
Yeah, it's just a picture. Oh, it's a story of me and my food. That's not. I mean, you could certainly use any tool in that way, right? Not like I don't want to look at lasagna or Brian's meatloaf every once in a while, but it's there's so much more to it than that, right?
There really is, and it's just like you said, it's how you use the tool. So Instagram has brought me a lot of opportunities that I've talked about, and you can really open up your life to other people and like show them what it's really like to be a developer or what it's really like to be at a startup. Like, and you can have like these like communicate. They have lives on there, kind of like this, and I do them every single Tuesday with my friend Dania. We do Tech Tuesday. It's a live chat that we have about different topics.
On
And
Instagram?
yep,
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
yeah, and that's something that we randomly started, and we talk about different topics. People can come in with questions. We answer all their questions as we're talking about whatever topic it is. And it's really just a way to open up communication with everybody who's on the platform and any of our followers. And I think you can really utilize it in your favor, whether that's getting a job, making friends, branding yourself, selling a product, selling a service, really whatever it is, you understand it or you take the time to learn it, because that's the other thing. Like Instagram is something that you have to develop over time. Like you have to be very intentional, just like everything. You have to be very intentional, like about the amount of effort that you put into it. Like if you want something that bad, then you'll put in the work for it. you know
Yeah, I had a friend that I was chatting with today just about on topic, off topic about Facebook. And
hmm
she was talking about how she doesn't use Facebook, doesn't have a Facebook account. Oh, and I love when people have these strong opinions that are cemented in their ego and you can't chip away at it. Like you can't even talk to them about it. But it was kind of like a thing where, well, Facebook is more, if this was their opinion, Facebook is more a thing for if you're freelancing or you are looking for a job. And I said, well, if you think about it that way and that's the way that you utilize it, that's one thing.
yeah,
Somebody else could just be looking at pictures of their grandkids, or you could use it as a tool to socialize what you do.
yeah,
There's a lot of quotes out there that talk about the power of doing your work, but also maybe, thinking about 60 to 70% of your time socializing what you do so it gets out there. Like sometimes it's not about being the smartest person in the room, but it's about being at the right place at the right time, right? So if you have eyes looking at what you're doing, and I think you've talked about this quite often, where it's about, you actually are having conversations with these people. Make sure you're at where they're at. If they are having or living in Facebook, or if they're living in Instagram, for instance, make
hmm
sure that you have a lot of hooks in the water so
yep,
you could get that coverage, right?
yep. And also something that you said that totally like, is it hit the nail?
Hit the
Hit
nail on the head. Pow! Wow.
Yeah. But it's like, it's this kind of goes back to people thinking that if I build a really great product, people will come. It's like, no, they won't. And the same goes for yourself. You can be a bomb developer or bomb designer, but if nobody knows about you, then that doesn't do anybody any good, you know? It's the same thing. It's like you have to market yourself, market your product, like sell yourself, like you know what I mean, not like that, but like
Oh
sell
yeah,
your
yeah.
product, like
Mhm.
you have to put yourself out there and showcase who you are.
Yeah, or like I said, if it doesn't matter who has the best idea, it's sorry to use a goofy phrase, but carry a big stick and talk loud, right? If you put that stuff out there for people to see,
Hmm.
you might be more of a considered a expert in your field. So it's not,
Yes.
and sometimes it's not about the smartest person. Sometimes it's about being extroverted. I always say I'm an introverted or an extroverted rather, extroverted introvert. Like, and I use that by saying really it more describes how you recharge. Like I recharge by myself, like away from people, and some
Yep.
people recharge in a group of people and they're super social, which I could be social to a point and then I need to go to my back cave and hang upside down. But but sometimes it's those people that could, really energize in a crowd and talk a lot. And, sometimes they get the gigs and good for them.
It's no, it's really true. It's actually this is a funny story and how like branding yourself can be. Well, I'll just tell a story. So Josh and I went into a meeting, and Josh is a far better developer than I am, and I always say that he's been
Why are you
developing.
winking?
Huh?
I said, why are you winking?
Oh, am I winking?
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Like,
I was like, oh, I was like, oh wait. No, but he is, and he's been doing it for a lot longer, and he thinks more like an architect. I'm a very good
Hmm,
executor. And that's just
okay.
kind of how we work. And so we were in a meeting with a client, and it was about a React Native app. And they deferred all the questions to me, all the technical questions to me. And it was like, well, in reality, Josh probably would have could have answered them better than I answered them. But they had seen all my videos, watched my course, and they just knew that I was this, React
You're,
Native developer.
you're the expert. You're the one that speaks about this.
Exactly. So that kind of just goes to show you, like, if you market yourself and brand yourself in a certain way, obviously, like, be truthful about it. Because
Yeah, that helps. People will ask questions.
yeah, they will. You better be able to answer them. And just like I say, like, if you build a brand and it's authentic to who you are, then it shouldn't be hard to maintain and it shouldn't be hard to create content around it.
Yeah, I think what is that old Japanese proverb? You are the person who you say you are when you're in the room you are. Don't look that up because I'm brutalizing that, but it's something around that. Like if you are in that room and you say I'm this, well then people say, oh okay, you're that. So kind of like if you take that analogy and use that motif, if you will, like I'm on social media and I say I do this. Well then people go, oh that's the guy that does this.
Yeah, be like, you better be able to do it. So
Yeah. What do you think about talking about the value of we touched on Instagram and how that could be used and how it's underutilized. Something I think that's relevant to what you're doing right now is the value of YouTube and using that as a channel. And because you're not just leveraging this for you're putting out React videos constantly, you're also using this as a lifestyle slash journal. And
mhm.
I think it's so important to show your work, what you do, and also show that you're a human being as well, right?
Yeah, I like to like personalize it. I want actually people to see Josh and myself out of just a context of work, because we are very
Mhm.
business minded. Like we speak.
Making eggs, making breakfast.
Yeah, like yeah, it's just like we do, like, and no, I don't think people think that we're not normal because we're not celebrities or anything, but at the same time, like, Josh has his, like, he has his business, and I think sometimes people like, oh, entrepreneurs are kind of like the Gary V's, you know, and it's
Yeah.
just like that's actually not true. Like we work out of our house, because you know we're a lean company, we're saving money, and this is what it really looks like to start a business. And it's also fun because You know, like we're newly married, and it's fun to show that dynamic too of two newlyweds working together, and we work together all the time. And it's fun to show that you can do that and you can be happy doing that and enjoy one another and still have a really great relationship, you know, in the, you know, career aspect and also in like the romantic sense. You know, like we do some of our videos are like Friday date night to like take people on dates with us. Like,
That's awesome.
yeah, because it's like, hey, just like see what we're doing. Like we're normal, but we're also like we love each other a lot, which I think shows anyways in our videos. But it's just kind of,
Oh,
yeah, it's just fun. Like I
yeah.
enjoy creating content, and so that's like a passion of mine. And so I just like doing it. So
Well, I like the idea of you looking for opportunities to create content and have that publisher's mind, right?
mhm.
Like not just being somebody that constantly consumes, but if you want to provide the world some context about you, publish. It could be anything. It could be you going to the gym at 7 in the morning,
Yep,
talking about some things you did or squats or whatever. But
yep,
you're publishing and you're getting yourself out there and you're making yourself relatable. Like you said, you guys aren't celebrities. You know, you're not hanging out with Madonna, but people look at you and go, "Oh, okay, you know, she knows what she's talking about. She does talk, she does these videos, but you're actually a real person." And I think it's really brave for you as well to credit where credit's due, that you show things about learning from failures or learning from. And I'm not saying that that interview that you had was a failure in that recent video. I
I
think
mean,
it's
it
a
was.
well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a failure. I think it's a more of a lesson. I
It's
think,
yeah,
yeah, I think if anything, it's just not, you know, it wasn't the right person for the thing. It's not like you went in and you blew it. It's that they were looking for somebody that was had more different kind of new, different other languages. You
yeah,
know.
yep. No, it's you know when that interview happened, I knew that I was not. I had a feeling I wasn't the right person for the job, but I wanted it. Like I just wanted to do it because like that's just interviewing for Microsoft. Like that was just such a cool thing. And everybody there was so nice. And it was funny because after the interview happened, and like I said, the interview was 5 hours if you didn't see the videos,
Yeah.
really long. Like obviously several different interviews within that 5 hours.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Was
Yeah.
that like 5 hours, like constant 5 hours?
Yeah, well, we took a break. I got to take a lunch break with one of the developer advocates there, but I mean, we sat and talked about
It was
stuff.
still interview.
It was still like you're still
Yeah.
on, you
Yeah.
know. And it was funny because after it was all said and done, I felt like okay about it, like kind of confident, like you know, like I could do this. I would really just need to like cram. It's kind of like how my brain was like, okay, I need to learn this, I need to learn this, and then I'll be good. And then one of the guys, he texted me and he goes, I told my boss to hire you. And I was like, yes. So then I was
Nice.
like, I got the job. And so I know I had to take a red eye home, which was horrible from, you know, Seattle to Florida because of the time difference. And so I got home and I was like, I think I got it. Like, I think I got the job. And then it was like a week later that I found out I didn't. And I was upset. And then I'm like, well, I'm just gonna keep creating content and keep showing them, you know, like that I could do it, you know, type thing. Like it's like you said at the very beginning, like using that as motivation, you know, like turning it around, like turning the negative into a positive. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all lessons, and I'm sure too there might be other companies that you could obviously do that for.
Yeah.
Maybe it's next week you get a call from Apple or Adobe, and they're like, you know what? Maybe those guys didn't want you, but come over here. Let's talk.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I really think that it was like a blessing. Like God was just like, that's not the path I want you to go down. He's like, I want you to do this. Because I do think that I don't, yeah. I think I'm always meant to maybe just do my own thing.
Hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and what way? What do you mean? You think they're always meant to do your own thing? What's that look like?
Well, you know, so like when I started off in programming, it was really not to become a programmer. Like I wanted to be a programmer, but I literally in my head was like, oh, I'll be a programmer for like, you know, 4 years. That was like my goal, which is
Oh,
like
really? So, like when you started, you were like, 4 years max. I'll do a little bit of this, and I'm done.
yeah, that's literally my goal. And people are like, what? That doesn't make sense.
Because you
But
wanted to do the marine biology, right?
yeah. I want to, yeah. because I always wanted to own my own business, and understanding programming is essential, and being able to talk intelligently to developers, especially if you have to hire developers, is something that is neglected in sometimes the tech world, and I think that's really important. And so that was like, okay, I want to understand development, and I actually love programming. Like I love React Native. That was a passion from the get-go.
Was that the first thing you dived into, if you don't mind me asking?
No, the first thing I dove into, because I went to Full Sail, and so they
Oh,
teach
how
you
cool.
they teach you like JavaScript, PHP. um what oh my goodness. A
What year
little
was it?
I graduated June of 2016.
Okay, so yeah, all those things sound right. I don't know what other languages they might go into.
Yeah, it was weird because they were just doing a transition. Like
Uh-huh.
they always are changing their courses. Like shout out to Full Sail, they're a really good school. But they taught us like Angular, React. Um, we got
Maybe
to mess around with
Backbone.
Arduinos and stuff. It was really fun. It was like I learned a lot, but then also like I had an internship through a lot of it, which really helped me. Yeah, but first thing I did was JavaScript.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Okay, yes. I think learning those kind of vanilla JavaScript things right away really sets you to a good path to learning.
Yep. And I think, for me, like I do enjoy programming, but I knew I would never be a programmer for my whole life. And like when I tell people that, they're always like, "What?" I'm like, "It just is what it is." Like it's like a tool. Like Josh and I always say, it's a tool in our tool belt. Like I can do it. I can do it, or I can do it. Or I don't want to do it. It's one of those things. Yeah.
Well, I think it's also things about like a good project manager is
Mhm.
somebody that's more of a technical project manager. Like
Yes.
that's an amazing role that I see a lot more dominance in our industry lately, where it's somebody that could actually talk the talk. You could go up and you could say to them, "Oh, well, this isn't a component and blah blah blah," and they go, "Yeah, that's nice." But if you have somebody that you could actually explain the quote unquote jargon to, and they kind of get it, maybe they're not developing themselves or doing it as a day to day thing, but more like they came from that world, or they do it here and there to make to supplement income, or just for fun. Like
Mhm.
those are going to be the people that I believe are going to bring more success with that value add.
I completely agree. Like I worked at an agency for a while. That was where my internship was, and I always had wished there were some like technical PMs there, and they were really good PMs. And then there's some that weren't. And there's always, this like it taught me to explain things that were technical in a non-technical way, which was a useful skill for myself. And at the same time, I was like, secretly wishing that they could understand like things. But
Yeah, absolutely. Because if they have that, just even like a slight bit of knowledge. I mean, I've had so many people that I've worked with and hired and had these professional relationships with that didn't know what a P tag was, or just basic HTML knowledge. And
yeah,
when they have like a little bit of a understanding of how they could turn things around, or even if they're not selling something to like a traditional sell to a person, but sell a project to an influencer or a decision maker, even more so. There's so much more at stake at that point if they can really understand a project and communicate
yeah.
time and people's value, right?
Yep, scope and time. What's
Scope
it?
and
Scope,
time.
scope, time, and money. Is that what that? Those are
Scope,
three.
time, money. I think
Yeah,
that's a Jay-Z song.
it should be.
Do you still out hustle Jay-Z? Is that still a thing?
Yep, still running on the treadmill next to him. We're still going.
Nice. You're running there and he's like, woo!
Yep.
It's your boy.
Yep.
That's awesome. What do you
Mhm.
listen to when you run?
Audiobooks or podcasts.
Really? Audiobooks? What you're listening to lately?
Okay, so don't judge me. I'm
This is a
re-listening.
judge-free zone, just so you know.
So I'm actually re-listening to Shoe Dog.
I don't know that.
What? Okay, write this down. And Shoe Dog.
I'm gonna go back in the notes. I'm gonna
Yeah, Shoe
put
Dog.
Shoe Dog. Okay. Can you
It's
spell that?
shoe, like a shoe you wear, and then a
shoe.
dog.
Oh, okay, shoe dog. Gotcha.
Shoe dog. Sorry.
Shoe dog.
Yeah, shoe dog. So it's the Nike story about Phil Knight, and he started Nike. And so I started the book actually when I ran a half marathon last year.
Nice, good for you for running a half marathon.
Oh, thanks. I ran a full a couple years ago too. So I do love running.
Nice.
But so that's how good the book is though. Like I listened to it while running for 2 hours straight, and like it motivated me while I was running. It's hands down like the best book. It's so if you're feeling that you're like worthless or like not going anywhere, listen to that book, because it's like a very true story, and it's so good.
Oh, I love that.
Mm.
Do you have any other kind of people that you, speaking of like inspiration, any kind of mentors that you would, I don't know, recommend for people to find inspiration from, people that you might look to, or haunt their blogs, or listen to their podcasts?
Well, my favorite podcast is How I Built This.
How I Built This. Tell me, I don't know that one.
What?
I don't. This is a judge-free zone.
I know,
Remember that?
Yeah.
Judge-free zone, Brandy?
I'm going to take my own advice. I'm just kidding. How I Built This is an NPR podcast, and it's about like it could be companies, any company that you may have heard of. Like they did one on like Lara bars. They did one on Spanx, Under Armour, Stripe, like all these like random companies. And they interview the person that started it, and they just tell the story in it's usually about 45 minutes to 50 minutes.
Ooh.
But the guy that does the interviewing is like really, really good at it, because you can tell that he knows the person, kind of like you, like he's done his research before he's interviewing them.
Yeah, I think that's kind of important.
Well, we sometimes listen to podcasts and you're like, well, okay. But this one, it's so well done. So it's How I Built This. They come out with a new episode every Monday. It's amazing. Yeah.
All right. We'll add that in the show notes. You know what I've been listening to a lot to find inspiration, and I'm sure everybody's sick of me talking about it. It's called Sad Boys. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't. Sad Boys is a podcast?
Yeah, it's a podcast. Yeah, it's these two guys out of California, Jarvis and Jordan, and it's all about emotions. So it's kind of a like a feely touchy kind of thing, like a self-help almost. But it's their themes are things like just talking about bullies, what you do at parties. Like they were talking about how they like ways to get through a party for introverts. Like they were talking about, okay, you could go, you could do the stand by the wall and look at your phone for 10 minutes. You could go to the bathroom for 45 minutes and cry. You follow the host around and ask if you could help out and try to help out with things. And then by that point, you've been there for an hour and you could leave.
I love that.
Yeah, it's so cool.
That's awesome. Sad Boys.
Yeah, Sad Boys with a Z.
Oh, with a Z. Okay.
With a Z. Yeah, at Sad Boys Pod. Yeah, shout out to you guys. We're gonna have you on the show pretty soon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was actually we had Charlie Marie on the show about I don't know, maybe 2 months ago, something like that. And she was talking about this conference she was at in San Francisco, and she met these guys, and she was talking about their podcast and how it's all like touchy-feely, emo, whatnot. And I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. So I started listening to that, and now that's what I listen to every time I go running.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, love those guys. Super cool podcast. Shout out to you, Justin. You get the joke. So anyway, we're running down to the end of the show. I was wondering if there's any kind of advice or words of wisdom, anything that would behoove our audience to hear that you want to share with everybody.
Let me think. I kind of like usually tell people the same thing, but
if it's good, then let's hear it.
Oh, well, I'll try. Just kidding. So like, anytime you're going after anything, whether you're like wanting to be a developer, wanting to own your own company, or maybe you're just wanting to get a job, like any job, or you're wanting to go back to school. I live by like these 3 Ps. Now let me see if I can remember them.
3 Ps.
All 3 right. Ps.
Peanut butter.
Yeah. Oh, I love peanut butter. But
yeah.
so perseverance, No matter what, like you can really get anything done. Like you can persevere through anything. I truly believe that. Hardships and things like that, like it's an attitude,
Mm.
you know.
The Churchill quote, "If you're going through hell, keep going."
Yeah, I think I'll just end that one there. And then patience. Have patience with yourself. Have patience with others. Have patience with life. Life does go pretty fast in hindsight, but we think that it goes slow for us, or we forget to celebrate all the successes, even the small ones, especially the small ones along the way that add up to the big ones, because we're always so focused on a big thing. And so it's like, have patience with yourself and have patience with those around you, as far as, significant others, kids, loved ones, team members, coworkers, people in traffic, people on the phone. Like, you know, I feel like, patience is one of those things that you just have to practice in every area of your life. And the other one is practice, which I just said, practice, 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 especially if you're wanting like a skill. Especially if like I can speak to development just because I've done it, you have to practice and practice and practice. So like when I was in school at Full Sail, every single night after class or before class, I was at a coffee shop programming like for hours, hours upon hours. I did every single Pluralsight tutorial I think that you could do. Like, just because you have to, like, you always have to be practicing. You always have to be, making yourself better in every
Putting in
way.
the time.
Yeah. And everything takes time, practicing, doing podcasts, practicing YouTube videos, like whatever it is, like you just have to put in the time and have,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think a lot of times we, to go back to your second P, people are really hard on themselves and don't allow themselves to provide forgiveness for things that might happen during a day, during a week, during a job interview, or communication with a coworker, and they'll beat themselves up about it and
Yep.
not let those things go. And because sometimes your perception is completely different from the possible reality of things.
It usually is. We always beat ourselves and we are our worst critic. And it's like nobody else sees it like that. It's like just stop. Like, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we all run on the same OS. We want everyone to happy, and we're here to make each other win.
Yes, I love it. It's so true. I want everybody to adopt that mindset.
I love that. Yeah, I think if we all take that high road and we all kind of support each other, uh, what comes bad of that, right? It's only good things.
Yep, I completely agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, how can people get a hold of you if they want to find you on the Twitters, the YouTubes, the whatnots?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much under Miss Brandy Morgan. That's MS and then Brandy Morgan on Twitter,
Facebook.
Facebook, Instagram. Brandy Morgan is my handle on YouTube. And you can also, if you really want to email me and talk, it's missbrandymorgan@gmail.
Nice. Are you open to the emails to people saying, "Hey"?
Yep, people send me emails. I actually prefer emails over DMs if it's like a very serious question. If it's like
Oh.
help that they want or me to look at something, send me an email. Like I'll look at people's portfolios, I'll look at their GitHubs and things like that. So
Well, I think an email's a little bit more personal than those DMs where it's like, "Hey."
well, a lot of people they'll DM me and I'm like, if you don't mind, just send it to me in an email because that's just easier for me to look at because it's on my like I don't know, it's just easier.
Yeah, it's almost like a to-do list that you could swipe away.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I get the same thing. That makes total sense. All right, well,
Mhm.
hey, thank you so much for spending some time with us, Brandy. Really
Mhm.
appreciate it. And I guess when I say us, I mean that in the royal queen way because it's just me here today. But I guess I'm used to saying that. But yeah, thank you so much for spending time with moi and sharing some really valuable takeaways. I think there's a lot that people could think about with social media, perseverance, and taking ownership of your own career path.
Yes, I completely agree. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Take care, everybody.